Hey, what's up, Shadow Priest buddies? So, today we're going to talk about max corruption when weeks and weeks from now, months and months from now, get more and more resist. What does our gear look like when we're at max? What does max corruption look like? And again, this is like when there's nothing left to do in a game except max your shit out to its true limit. And what kind of corruption pieces do we want? Is it the same? Do we run out of gear slots? You know, stuff like that. I kind of wanted to ponder this and I wanted to see how it would play out, and that's what we're going to go over today. There are some surprises here, so it's worth the watch, and it was definitely worth going through this. And I do it for myself. I do this kind of thing for myself, and when I think it's interesting, I decide to share it with you guys. Before we get into this, I'd like to thank people that have subbed to my channel recently. You guys definitely motivate me to keep going and put more and more stuff out there. So please feel free to give me the like as well. That helps, again, tell me that you like the content and motivates me to keep making it and take the time out of my day to do so. And again, if you want more resources from me, my week auras, if you happen to like them, I do have links to all of my stuff in my YouTube About section. It will link you to my Twitch page. I keep a lot of stuff updated there as well. So if you have any questions about my stuff, I would look there first. I try to post everything that anyone has ever asked me, both small and large. So let's get into this, and I will teach you something new today, or so I hope I can. Let's go. Alright, so let's go through what I'm finding with a max corruption build, which is, what is max corruption? So we're going to get 3% resist every single week going forward, starts next week. Not 3%, 3 resist. I don't know which one I said, but we get +3 every week. And I started thinking, are we going to run out of slots of gear? And what kind of corruption are we going to practically be able to equip? Because obviously having the 20 corruption, 12% crit and haste, stacking those isn't really realistic when you get to the max corruption budgets that we're going to get later in the game. So I kind of was fearing stacking things like infinite stars and maybe rank 3 void ritual. How much of that will we need to do, and how much of that awesome 12% crit and haste can we hang on to? So I went ahead and forecasted what our gear might look like, and this is at the very, very end. I'm going to focus on the end because we kind of know where we are today, and we know this will show us where we're going to end, and you can fill in the blanks because I'm obviously not going to show you what every single week or month is going to look like between now and the max corruption. So max corruption is going to be where we are today, plus 75, and it's going to cap out, the cape caps out at 125, and we have the essence at 10, and then we can also wear net corruption, so, you know, a progression raid team, you know, we're about net 39, then we could probably push some parses, I guess. Max would be 85, or that's what we're thinking. Maybe more likely less than that, but the true max is like going to be 85. So what does this mean? It means we need to be able to have corruption gear, spend the budget, which is going to range from 174 to 220. And I got to thinking, okay, if we have to spend that much corruption budget, how many slots, and what the fuck does this look like, and where are we going to end? So I did some sims. This is going to be I'll start with the single target sims. And it's 8 to 9 pieces of gear we can get corruption on. That's sort of our limit. And it ranges from 8 to 9 depending on if you have a staff or one versus a main hand offhand. You get an extra slot if you're main hand offhand combo. I have a staff, so I'm going to be one less unless I were to replace it. So I built some things out here, and we'll kind of go through them. So the very top build, the highest simming single target build, is no surprise, is a stars foundation. So this is 2 crit, 1 haste, 3 racing, and a stars. So the thing about, and this is actually not even a rank 3 stars, it's a rank 2. I wasn't going to sim every single one of these, but it definitely won out single target. However, it does, if you notice, I don't know if you can see this. If you look at this range, the min and the max range of the stars build, it has swings that overlap with some of these other builds that are below it. So statistically, it's going to out RNG itself and be better in a pure single target situation. This is what we already know about stars. However, I'll quickly do a detour to multi. So this is the multi version, and again, just like we've already been through, stars drops down. You can see it drop down, 5 down the list. Because it doesn't perform as well in a multi-target situation. So most of the raid is going to be using like this multi-target. So keep that in mind that stars, as I've said before, I don't view it as true BIS, though it's definitely worth equipping if it's all you have. It's still a good foundation piece. So go back to single target, and I want to get into some of the things that I found that were quite surprising. So the next build down is 2 crit, 1 rank 2 haste, a racing, and a void ritual. That was actually surprising. I couldn't just contrast that, right? Further down the list, I have a 2 crit, 2 haste, and 4 racing. That was way lower. Way lower than that. So what the hell's going on? Like, racing should be better than void ritual, right? So why is void ritual like up here? I think what's happening is, as we get further and further in our secondary stats and our haste gets higher and higher and higher, it's sort of, I don't know if calling it DR is technically correct, but we're getting more value out of the other corruptions. So wow, holy shit, that was surprising. I know people that have void ritual, a few people are complaining like, oh, I'm stuck with this. No, it's actually turning out to be good in the long run. Granted, this is many weeks in the future. The date in which we could run corruption this high is September 8th. So this is really far, but it's kind of encouraging to see that void ritual starts to win out in these situations, even over racing. And again, why over crit or why over haste? Well, we run out of slots of gear, to be frank. You can't have if you put like 20 corruption in every single slot, you're not going to spend the budget, and it's going to be less DPS. So we need more of those foundation pieces. I was just really surprised to see stacking racing wasn't the play, that salt and peppering it with a void ritual was actually really strong. Arguably one of the better builds. A couple other ones that came in here that were really competitive is the Flay Tentacle. And I'll just click on that. You can see it's within, a couple hundred DPS, single target, of the void ritual builds. I will want to point out that the double void ritual build, I don't think this is very practical to get because this was 2 of them. Yeah, 2 rank 3 void rituals might be tough to get. So the way that I'm thinking personally, this one here, 2 crit, 2 haste, 2 racing, I almost own that. Maybe not the other haste. I almost have this much. And then a rank 3 void ritual is this build. I actually think this build is really kind of overall one of my more favorite ones, I guess. But there was another thing that I found out while going through this, right? The build down here, 2 crit, 2 haste, 1 racing, a deadly momentum, and a void ritual was also really strong. This is within very small differences when you talk about from a percentage standpoint. So let me actually toggle percentage. This is nothing. So deadly momentum is now all of a sudden on the radar. Wow, I kind of wrote it off. I completely gave up on deadly momentum, calling it undertuned. I have this shit in my bank, just sitting on it. I really thought I'd never even go back to my bank for it, but deadly momentum actually was pretty competitive. That was actually surprising. So what does this mean? It means these crit, the haste, the racing, these were all like the best things to get for our progress, for the progressing through the first couple of months of the patch. But when we get into late game, like this is like the final month or so before Shadowlands comes out. Well, we'll see. It's probably delayed. These other corruptions are making, I I don't want to say a comeback because they never were on the table, but Void Ritual, Flay, Deadly Momentum, yeah, they're definitely looking really strong here. So again, save everything, don't cleanse gear. I said that at the very beginning. We always get surprised when it comes to corruption gear. So as far as what the hell happens when we do multi-target, because again, like, there's only one boss in the raid that's patchwork, right? It tells a similar story. I've already kind of pointed out what happens with the stars build. We kind of would expect that of what we know about stars. But the same two builds I pointed out, the Deadly Momentum build and also the Double Racing and Void Ritual build, they're really close. This is like margin of error, pretty much. Yeah, if you look over here, actually I chopped that off, but the margin of error on the sim is 81 DPS. That means these are basically the same. So, Deadly Momentum, I'm adding that to the list. We're adding that on, Void Ritual for sure. And the Tentacle Boy didn't do as well. Let me like scroll down here. Our Tentacle Bro, he's down here a little bit. Not as good on the multi-target, so... But the fact that they're even on the radar at all, like, it's not bad. It really isn't considered too terrible. So what's going to be important is being able to spend the budget. That's like really number one. And these are the types of corruptions that we're going to build them with, and they are going to be a mix and match. There is no single BIS. This is about a set, and these are what the sets are going to look like, in my opinion. And they're all super, super close. So again, if we go to the Deadly Momentum build, Core Racing wasn't as strong. That was actually quite surprising. But these two here, probably my top picks. And again, they hold the same weight factor when you get into the single target versus multi. So those are going to be my two top ones. So hopefully I taught you something new, and I'll summarize it for you so you kind of can get your head around this. There's a lot of sims here, so let's get into that. Alright, so let's think about what the hell this means, really. So, endgame corruption, max corruption, I should call it. Summarizing, we have the cape is, again, the 125 resist. That's going to be slowly increasing until September 8th, where it will get capped. Or so that's what we think, or that's what we think we know. The essence is a +10, and we're also planning to equip somewhere between 39 and 85, depending on if you're doing a progress build or doing maximum parse potential. So the total budget we're looking to spend is between 174 and 220. And the way that we're going to do this is we're going to pick from the corruptions that I have listed almost in the order that you see them. So first you get, hopefully, if you have the options, crit percent, haste percent, then erasing, and then as you get deeper and deeper, avoid ritual. And I'm adding deadly momentum as an option. So I drew a picture of a house because I think this might help you visualize the puzzle that we're building here, and that it's not really just about one thing being BIS. You have your foundation piece, which I drew as racing. Racing is our first initial BIS ideal foundation. And then we're going to build up some pillars here with the crit and haste. And we're going to have a big piece of the roof to put on the top, and that's your void ritual. And again, depending on which build you go with, deadly momentum also. And remember, there's different ranks of these, and I wasn't going to sim the millions of combinations available. So deadly momentum, consider it like an option, and I drew it as like an optional little chimney or whatever. Don't laugh at my picture, okay? Just don't laugh at it. Hopefully, I want you to visualize this puzzle, and that's how I could think to do it. So as you get your pieces, figure out how that fits in with the house that you're building for your character, right? So hopefully that'll give you a good point of view or a way of thinking about it. So, this will be, goodness I hope so, the very last corruption video that I make. Hopefully this will at least give you some goals or things that you're going to shoot for as we move forward over the next like 5, 6, or whatever months in the future. And again, recapping like the newfound appreciation for things like Void Ritual and Deadly Momentum being the most shocking. That guy might kill me. Yeah, I'm fucking dead. Alright, we're gonna run from this guy. So, hopefully I taught you something new. You guys know what you're gonna be looking for. Fuck you, dude. And I think Tentacle Boy too. That was at least promising to kind of see that. Anyway, I gotta go kill this guy now, later.